See, I'll start with you. Yes, Sam Darnold's back. Yes, the Jets' offensive line played great. Give them credit. But I think Dak Prescott summed it up perfectly. This was a self-inflicting, this loss on the Cowboys. What do you think went so wrong for Dallas?
Well, there's a couple different ways to look at it. What I like to look at, did I overestimate how good Dallas would be? Did I think, like Coach Mangini always talks about, oh, there's no carryover from one season to the other? I just assumed Dallas would have a top 10 defense. At worst, I thought they'd be able to get after the passer. Even if they weren't in the top 10, I thought in special categories, that being sacks, that being turnovers, they would still be a special defense. So for me, that part right there, I missed on. I thought Dallas was a playoff team. But when you have the inconsistency with the injuries, the lack of creativity, that's how you get to 3-3. This is the first time they've lost to a bad football team. So for me, that's very, very alarming. Last week, I knew with Sam Darnold coming back, the Jets would play the best game that they had played all season. This was not a team, because their quarterback was injured, that didn't have the talent to be able to win a game. So I thought it was a dangerous game for Dallas. Dallas played down to the level of their competition. The Jets get the big lead. Dallas is not able to make enough plays. The injuries in Dallas continue to mount. And the last thing, if I'm going to throw a pass with the game on the line, I am not throwing a pass to Jason Witten unless I trick everyone. You got to be a little more creative to try to tie up the game. I don't like a quick slant to Jason Witten in the slot when you know Greg Williams is going to have an all-out blitz. So Dallas has huge problems, and these aren't going to go away soon.
Well, Chris, you touched on what is clearly all of the biggest issues. I'll start in the same order you did. Defensively, Tank Lawrence got that huge contract this offseason. Where is Tank Lawrence? He had two sacks in his first 3 games of the year, nowhere to be seen since then. He was supposed to be, Robert Quinn was supposed to be his bookend, not the other way around. So the Cowboys' defense, where they spent some money, has not been elite. Byron Jones, a player that we said is the next on the list for the Cowboys to get paid, he is not having near the season he had last year. And then it comes to the critical moments of the football game. In the red zone, we said last week the New York Jets had allowed an impossible 53 consecutive red zone trips to end in points. They hadn't forced a missed field goal, a turnover, or a turnover on downs on 53 straight red zone possessions until Dallas rolls into the red zone. 3rd and 1, Zeke is stuffed. And then on 4th and 1, they get Dak out on the move, which in theory is a good move, except you're without your left tackle, you're without your right tackle, and the guy the right tackle is supposed to be blocking actually sweeps over and makes the play along with the safety for the New York Jets, the hard hitter Jamal Adams. So those plays, the have-to-have-it plays, none more notable than the 2-point conversion with the game on the line. If the Cowboys had forced overtime, if they had succeeded on the 2-point conversion and won this game 27-24 in overtime, we'd be talking about how ugly it was, how concerning it is. But at least Dallas would be in first place by themselves in the division. They still wouldn't have a terrible loss, even if they had a terrible showing. But with how poorly they played, they had the opportunity to erase it right there. And I agree with you 100%. You throw it to a guy who was doing Monday Night Football last year, and it looked like that was your top option because you had the blitz, because you didn't have time. Amari's out of the game. Randall Cobb's out of the game. That's a disaster for Dallas. This is the first time the Cowboys have lost to an 0-4 or worse team in 20 years, which is these types of losses are the types of losses that can put your coach's job in jeopardy, something a week ago I didn't think was at all possible this season.
And then, CC, again, off your point, it's a shame they couldn't take advantage of what was a Philadelphia loss yesterday. Clearly would have put them in great position in the division. But how does this Dallas Cowboys team come out and start slow again? After everything we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, you would think they'd come out with a little more energy, a little more gusto. It was yet another sluggish start, and they could never really get into this game.
Yeah, Jenna, you make a great point. You would think with their season coming to play the Jets don't have any energy, looking for life. They're going to get after Sam Darnold. So for me, I don't have a problem because I think sometimes people get it mixed up. When people don't execute, they think that they're not focused. So I thought Dallas was focused. I just thought that the Jets were a better football team. Dallas is not a good football team. So I'm not going to say that they had a slow start because they weren't focused. I thought that the Jets came into the game because earlier in the game it was just back and forth, just jockeying for position. And then we get my man Robbie Anderson makes the big play to give them the early lead. And then it looks like, okay, Dallas might be in trouble today. They're not very good. Their offensive line. We should not use the word great with their offensive line for a long time. Zeke hadn't been great. When you can't force enough turnovers, you can't get to the opposition. That's what you're going to face the problems that the Dallas Cowboys have now. And I believe we're going to be watching this all year, unless we just change our commentary, because I thought Dallas was a playoff team. I have to look at them as just a middle of the pack, a normal NFL team right now, and can they win their division?
Nick, how'd they do it? How did the Texans beat the Chiefs yesterday?
Well, our friend Colin Cowherd does that Where Colin Was Wrong segment. This is with the Rams and a moment ago, and now the Chiefs.
Right,
this is going to be a little version of where Nick Wright was wrong. They did exactly what the Colts did, but they did it better. I mean, I had been the captain of don't be worried about the Chiefs. Hey, it's time to be at least a little worried about the Kansas City Chiefs, if I'm being honest and fair. Because what the Texans did yesterday was dominate time of possession to an absurd 35-25 is a ridiculous number.
This was 39-20?
It was basically 40-20. And by the way, when you don't have the ball, you can't run plays. Plays run 83-47. First downs. The Texans had more first downs in this game than any team has had in any game all year. So how were they able to do it? Well, Patrick Mahomes is not as mobile as he once was, and he got his ankle stepped on again. That's going to be a recurring theme. They haven't been able to protect Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid in this game, and this is, I guess, part and parcel with Andy Reid, you had some game management questions, and LaShawn McCoy, every time he touched the ball, seemed like he went for 12 yards. He handed him the ball 8 times in a close game where you didn't have to abandon the run. And the Chiefs' defense that I said, and I stand by this, at the beginning of the year, we don't know what the defense is going to be. It's got a new defensive coordinator and 6 new starters. Well, now we do know what the defense is, and it's terrible at the moment. They can't stop the run. They can't get off the field. You said Bill O'Brien did what I would have done. I wouldn't go for it on no 4th and 3 when a field goal gives me the win unless I know, well, the defense just is drawing dead to stop us. That's what the defense was. And that is a demoralizing loss. The Colts loss, you can say, was an aberration, is some unluck. This was a demoralizing, run it down your throat, offense never on the field loss. And it was, to me, it was the most concerning loss for the Chiefs in the entire Mahomes era, or mini era, if you will.
I'm very familiar with Nick Wright and his excuses, because that's the same excuses I used to have when people used to tell me, well, Chris, how are the Vikings going to be this year? Oh, yeah, man, we got 3 or 4 new starters on the defense. Well, Chris, how are the Vikings going to be this year? Oh, no, we're going to score a lot of points, man. We added another running back. We got another tight end. Well, how are the Vikings going to be this year, Chris? Man, the Vikings going to be exciting. The offense is going to score a lot of points. But the reason why we didn't win championships, and I just hope I'm consistent, it just happens to be falling on Nick's neck. This Kansas City team does not have a chance to win a Super Bowl until they address that defense. That defense is horrible. And there is a model out there to beat Kansas City. Look at the playoff game. How many minutes did New England have the ball? Close to 40 minutes. The last 2 weeks, the Colts and the Texans had it 37 and 39 minutes. That's disgusting. If you're a defensive player, you should be totally embarrassed. So for me, I didn't think Spagnuolo was the answer in Kansas City. He hadn't been the answer around the league for the last 10 or 15 years. He had a great run with the Giants, and that's about it. I didn't think his scheme fit his personnel, so this is something that we got to watch. Kansas City with a high-flying offense losing back-to-back games at home? Wow, man, that to me is mind-boggling.
Go ahead.
Well, and the other element here is the bigger picture element is we talk about the Patriots and their schedule and how, okay, whatever it is, they're 6-0. And Chris and you have said all year, this is a 14-2 team. Let's say worst-case scenario for New England. There's, 13-3? So what do the Chiefs have to do to have home field come back through Arrowhead again? 9-1 at a minimum? the rest of the way with they had going into the year the second most difficult schedule of any team in the league. It gets a little easier, but not much easier coming up. These two home losses, when they're 10-point and touchdown favorites or open as touchdown favorites in this one respectively, they are going to have lingering effects, even if the defense gets better when Chris Jones comes back, who's their best run-stuffing player, maybe their best pass rusher. Even if the offense gets better once Tyreek Hill can play a full complement of plays, not just in packages, these two losses don't go away. And last year, they had New England have to come to Arrowhead. This year, almost assuredly, assuming they get there, right, which I understand at this point is an assumption, Houston's saying, why aren't you talking about us going to the AFC Championship game? It would be on the road. These losses, the effects linger all season long.
And then quickly, before we move on, give a little credit to Deshaun Watson.
He's fantastic.
After that first quarter, it would have been easy for them to just sort of game manage and try to crawl back in. He had the composure to keep that team in it and then come back, have a strong second quarter, and then eventually get the win. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.